Television for the Blind proudly presents Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Season 8, Issue 1, A Long Way Home, Part 1.
The opening image is the sun rising over the curve of the earth from outer space.
The thing about changing the world, once you do it, the world's all different.
The next image is of Buffy herself along with 3 other Slayers jumping on tether lines out of one of the 2 helicopters visible in the night sky. All 4 are dressed in combat-style jumpsuits. Buffy and one of the others, a blonde-haired girl with a backwards cap, later revealed to be Rowena, are carrying what appear to be lasers of some kind. The rearmost Slayer, with long red hair, whose name is later revealed to be Leah, leaps with her arms out to either side, clearly ready for a fight. Buffy's third companion is a young Asian woman with a cap that has small cat ears and several buttons on her uniform, including one that says Rude Girl. Her name is Satsu.
Everybody calls me ma'am these days,
thinks Buffy. As a team of Slayers descends, Buffy fires her laser-like weapon below her, where it appears to disrupt some kind of energy field.
There used to be one Slayer in all the world.
Buffy is shown entering a crouching posture as she prepares to land.
1,800 now. That's what we've counted. Almost 500 working with us in 10 separate squads.
Buffy lands as the other Slayers are shown dropping through the hole in the force field.
There's even 3 of me.
From a wide view, we see the women have arrived on the roof of a rundown castle on the top of a bluff. There's an old cemetery in the foreground.
Fields vaped and we're on the roof.
Access should be right in front of you,
says the voice through a radio inside her suit. The 4 are shown positioned in front of a boarded window, with Leah closest to it and Buffy just behind her. Rowena is covering their rear with a spear gun, and Satsu is shown to be providing camera coverage from a head-mounted camera to whoever is on the radio to the team.
Leah, open her up,
says Buffy.
The guys figured I was a target. Set up 2 other Slayers to be me. One's underground, literally. One's in Rome, partying very publicly, and supposedly dating some guy called the Immortal.
Next we see Buffy and Satsu looking through the broken boards into the dark of the castle.
That part was Andrew's idea. He did research on the guy, said it would be hilarious for some reason.
Can't see a thing, ma'am, says Satsu. Can smell a thing, though, says Buffy.
Here at Command Central, not so much with the hilarious, more with the what the hell am I doing?
Buffy dives into the open window, leaving the 3 Slayers watching her confused.
What the hell is she a-doing?
Asks Leah.
It's not all that different, though. Still got my demons, and I still got my watcher.
We switch to a much different scene in what appears to be a control room. Several young women, presumably Slayers, are working at computers around the edge of the room. Off to the side, what appear to be 2 young witches are concentrating on a glowing red ball between them. The room has a panel of monitors, one showing a confused Leah shrugging through Satsu's camera. In the middle of the room is a platform, clearly for command. And on the platform is a man with his arms crossed behind his back and an eye patch visible over his right eye. He is wearing a gray and black uniform that looks very sleek.
I used to be in construction,
thought Xander.
You're 5x5 buff. Our satellite has them clustered by the altar, and our psychics read them as unaware.
We see Xander's face in close-up.
Soon as Rowena's placed, we're a go. Pay was good. Hours were even better. They even ended occasionally.
A young woman with short, curly brown hair looks up from her monitor to get Xander's attention. This is Renee.
But when duty calls, you don't exactly get to screen.
Mr. Harris, we've got a development with the Barcelona squad. Vamp Nest looks a lot bigger than they thought.
Xander walks over to his monitor to get more information.
How many on the squad?
7. Don is running them, but they're pretty green.
Xander looks at her monitor from over Renee's shoulder.
Andrew's still working southern Italy. Tell him to send us 10 best. Hop over. Oh, and tell him it's 10 best, not as 10 best dressed. We don't need another Orvieto.
Roger that. Yes, Mr. Harris.
Xander returns to the main monitor for the current mission, but takes a moment to address a concern with Renee.
Xander, Renee. I told you, it's Xander. Or Sergeant Fury.
The angle reverses and we see Renee smiling coyly with her head low so that Xander wouldn't be able to see, even if he happened to pay close attention.
Wasn't Nick Fury a colonel when he ran S.H.I.E.L.D.?
I liked him better in his Halloween Commando days, but your nerd points are accumulating impressively.
I try, Sergeant.
Xander has returned his attention to the mission monitor where Satsu's camera shows Buffy standing outside a wooden door with a group behind her.
Okay, Buff, game on.
Back in the castle, the wooden door is launched across the room. Buffy's side kicked it out from the frame, her legs still extended. The image reverses to one of 3 very large and gruesome demons in the center of the large room. They have tentacles like hair and tusks. Between them, there are at least 2 human bodies, men, obviously dead. We see a close-up on Buffy's face looking determined and ready for a fight.
Their first victims. Gotta get 'em past it. Flank 'em, now.
Says Buffy. Buffy charges the first demon alone. It stands up ready to fight her.
This one looks tasty.
The demon lunges and brings a fist down where it expects Buffy, but she slides beneath its head, kicking its arm as she stops.
Thanks, I work out.
Buffy fires a punch upward from below its chin with a large crack, but the demon wraps her ankle with its tail and whips her out, throwing her across the room toward the altar. Ugh, says Buffy. Buffy crashes through the altar, shattering it. A large cross falls from the altar towards Buffy. In a new panel, the other two demons are stalking towards Leah and Satsu, who appear to be cornered.
Sad little girl. Lost the elemental.
Suddenly, both of these demons are skewered from behind through the head and neck, gore scattering with a Christian herb. From Leah and Satsu's perspective, we see the shots came from outside the building. Rowena and two previously unseen slayers are hanging on rappelling lines and holding the spear gun seen earlier.
That went well.
Meanwhile, Buffy is still facing off with the first demon. The slayers watch from near the window as it faces off with her. Buffy is holding the large gold cross from the destroyed altar in front of her, a peg sticking out of the bottom of it where it was seated in the altar.
Stupid girl. I am no vampire. You think I fear that?
In a blur of movement, Buffy pounces, driving the base of the cross through the top of the demon's skull with a shock. The demon's teeth shatter as its head is driven to the ground. Grimly, Buffy pulls the cross back up toward her shoulders, staring down at the demon.
Might want to start.
We see a view from the ceiling. Leah is watching as Buffy gently sets the cross aside against a stone column. The other slayers are surveying the three demons and the human bodies.
That were a wee bit repulsive.
Went okay, except I feel a little weird about using a crucifix to kill someone.
You don't know much about religion, do you?
Mom, what is a monkey?
Asks Satsu, looking at one of the men's bodies. Buffy joins her, and they stare down at the man's chest.
His chest.
We see a symbol has been carved into the man's chest. It is made up of a straight horizontal line, an intersecting semicircle above it, and a four-pointed diamond about and left of the shape.
This isn't recent.
Being hostage for time.
Satsu, zoom in. Xander, send this to records. Copy Giles on it.
Gotcha.
Rowena, Leah, and Satsu watch as Buffy walks towards the wall, apparently inspecting a container.
What were you thinking?
Self-inflicted. I don't think these are random victims.
The image moves over to Buffy, who is lifting the rifle she has found out of the container. It appears to be an M16. She hefts it as though familiar with it and looks at it with concern.
I think these boys were looking for a fight.
In a wider view, the slayers are still studying the room for more clues or equipment. Rowena pulls a tarp off a machine on the floor, calling over to Buffy.
I think the force field was theirs too.
So they wanted to be alone with those things? That doesn't add up, says an unnamed slayer. The image gradually begins pulling away through a shattered stained glass window. The slayers have assembled around their leader, who speaks with her hands upturned as if teaching.
This is all bad math, but that symbol,
We see the group from even further above the castle.
that's going to clear it up.
The view pulls away even further. We can see almost the whole castle. Surprisingly, at least 100 feet in the air, we see a pair of dark boots, dark pants, and the tail of either a dark cape or coat, as if someone is hovering high in the sky surveying the scene.
That's going to tell us what those guys are part of.
The next scene is very bright. A helicopter is coming out of view from the shining sun, cloud tops seen below it. One of the passengers is speaking. An army, says the passenger. We see the inside of the helicopter. Behind the two pilots, we see into the passenger cabin of a military helicopter. The original speaker is a man in uniform, General Vall, sitting with his arms crossed and looking angry or impatient, probably both. Another passenger is with him, a man in a brown suit with a briefcase held against his chest on his lap.
You don't think that's overstating it, General Volt? Our intel says they're too loosely affiliated to, they're scattered in those...
Says the man in the suit.
Squads, right. Tears call them sales.
General Vall shoves his finger into his fellow passenger's face as he continues to speak or rant.
We go ahead with this. We gotta be together on exactly what we're facing. And it's an army. They got power, they got resources, and they got a hard line of dealers that does not jive with American interests.
We get close enough to Vall's face to see he wrinkles around his eyes and his expression is very angry.
Worst of all, they got a leader. Charismatic, uncompromising, and completely destructive.
Vall turns and looks out the window of the helicopter to support his next statement.
For the love of God.
A stunning image appears before us as the view reverses. The helicopter is flying over a large crater that can only be Sunnydale.
Look what she did to her hometown.